What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to my friend. He is a pro wrestling, mixed martial arts, heavy metal enthusiast, and a fellow podcaster, much like myself, from a palatial igloo on the eastern board of Canada. Harold Loubert. Harold, what's going on, bro?
Not much. Take off to the Great White North.
Yeah. Well, for me, like my family's from, like my mom's side of the family from Fiji, so like
Right.
anytime Men at Work come on, it's like we come
Oh,
from the
that was
land
Bob and
down
Doug McKenzie.
under.
That was Geddy Lee from Rush.
Really? Oh shit! I
Yeah.
need a water. Fuck. No, when you
But
talk about Rush,
I am familiar with Men at Work because I was hanging out with a buddy of mine. He was just kind of chilling out at a bar, just practicing his music and up. And he started coming on Men at Work. So I'm on the drum kit, just kind of jamming with him just a little bit. It wasn't a show or nothing. It wasn't a jam. It's just him and me, just kind of chilling, right? So he comes out. He starts playing. I come from the land down under, right? So anyway, I start doing the drum beat to it, right? I looked up and he says, "I'm surprised you even knew that."
I mean, music is music, and once you hear the fucking tune, like
Yeah,
I have uncles that they can't read music. Hell, they might not even
I can't read a lick.
right, or even might not even be able to read in general, like
Yeah,
in general. But you give them 30 seconds with the fucking either downbeat or the opening, chords, theoretically,
yeah,
and they've got it. And all they want in return is a fucking beer because
yeah.
they played a cover of your song.
Same thing. Same here. That's what I do basically on drums. I just basically play it for beer.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. That's kind of the best way. I think there's a purity in that, especially like if you learn the garage and you play for beer, that's it. Hell, I mean, as an amateur like MMA fighter,
That's the ultimate compliment I find because like you're sitting there and somebody sees that you're working hard. They see the sweat pouring off your face. I mean, and they say, "Here, man, have a cold one." Right on.
yeah, hell
Like,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, no, 100%. But I mean, for those that don't know, you're a podcaster in your own right. You're part of a
Yes.
big
Yeah.
multi national conglomerate there. But let's shout out
I
the
wouldn't say
podcast.
conglomerate, but definitely
Hey, I
multinational.
mean, you're there. Some people from the UK are there. That's
India,
multinational, and you
India.
guys conglomerate. So that's
Yeah.
multinational conglomeration.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, brother. Yeah, I'm a part of Wrestle Buddy podcast, and I thank you for giving me a unashamed plug for that.
Of course. Oh, we're Mick Foley fans, so shameless plugs all throughout this fucking thing.
Oh yeah, no, I love what I'm doing. We are supposed to be going on Patreon soon,
Mm.
with the goal in mind that in probably about if not 3 years, we'll all meet up and go to a WrestleMania together as a team.
Ooh.
That's our goal,
Ooh.
and
Wait,
do a live show from there.
wait, 2 or 3 years? Isn't it about two? Is Mania in LA in Inglewood?
Yeah. I'm kind of yeah.
Huh.
That's where you're going to see The Rock, and because it would make more sense to do it in Hollywood
Well, I grew up
with
in
The Rock.
Inglewood. You know this, right?
Huh?
In Inglewood, California, where SoFi Stadium is, right across the road from the Forum, where the Lakers used to play before they moved to the Staples Center. Well,
Right.
this guy graduated from Inglewood High, so that's my former backyard. So
Right on.
maybe there might be another conglomeration of podcasters if you get out this way. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, that depends on if they decide to give me a passport. No, I'm joking. I'm not a criminal or anything.
Wow, jeez.
I like having fun. Let's put it like
I
that.
was like, heat. It's so heat. Well, I mean, it's not that's not too different or too dissimilar from, the guys and hell, even the girls that we saw wrestling, kind of
Yeah.
growing up because they, unfortunately the Kurt Hennigs and the Sherry
I bumped
Martels.
into him in a bar.
Really?
Oh yeah. I was just, I had been at the card, had a few extra bucks. I said, "Oh, I'll go have a couple of cold ones. Put a couple of bucks in the machine. I wasn't watching where I go and I walk smack. I mean, TV does not do that man justice.
He's huge.
That guy is freaking big. Me not walk. I walk smack into his chest. He looks down at me and he says, "Excuse me." And by this time, I'm thinking, "Oh
Oh shit.
shit."
He's gonna fucking perfect plex you right into the fucking barmaid or what have you.
You know, he says, "Where do you go, piss?" I said, "See that Mickey Mouse over there? Yeah, that's where you go. I'm gone." So he starts singing. It was a jam session that night. So he gets up, he sings some Elvis, right? I start winning money on the machine.
Yeah. Damn right you do.
So when he got off, I cashed out because I wasn't going to mess with that. So him singing caused me to win some money. And so I went over to a bar across the street. I bumped into Coco Beware.
Oh shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was great. I bought him a beer. We had a few words together. You know, it was kind of cool. And here you all of a sudden you see Orient Express chasing each other around the bar, pouring beer over each other's head.
What in the fuck is that?
It was great. It was great.
Damn. Well, you didn't. After bumping into his chest, you didn't give a brewski to the perfect one.
I don't think I was in the same level as that right then. I was like,
Okay.
I didn't want to get hit, right? Like
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
no way I was going to take a perfect place in the middle of a carpet in a bar.
yeah.
No, no, no.
Well,
But
one of my buddies.
I did buy Coco Beware beer in honor of that though.
Hey, I mean that's not the same transaction. It's like going into
Yeah.
Wells Fargo's bank and try to make a deposit from B of A or what have you. That doesn't. I don't know, man. But I mean, it's funny because I remember like we were hanging out at a hotel because I don't want to. I don't want to disclose the TV hotel when WWE's in town, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we're there. I've got a couple friends in the company and what have you, and we're just kind of whatever. And then one of them, I don't know what happens with fucking Ric Flair, but something happens, and Ric Flair didn't appear on the card, but his
Yeah.
daughter was there, him and
Yeah.
Wendy or Fifi, the maid, whatever they're eating, and something happens with Flair, and I think maybe something either spills near him or whatever. It doesn't get on him, but like whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
one of my friends that wasn't in the WWE, that was just there, was like, oh, kamikaze, right? And brought him like three kamikazes.
Wow.
So
Nice.
that was 2017. That was after his whole deal, but he was still kind of.
Yeah,
I
I was
mean,
gonna say that must have been after the heart attack or
it
something.
was after the heart attack, but he was still not slamming down kamikaze, but he was just
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
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 So Flair is fair. It's weird to be talking about Flair after the dark side of the ring. Uh,
Yeah. The same thing could be said about Chris Canyon too. I mean,
well, yes, and especially the fact that how much that Canyon idolized him, and that's
yeah.
kind of where like I'm kind of I've put WWE on a timeout right now, right? Because
Right.
we kind of discussed it with in the spaces, with you, me, and Marie Shadows. Shout out to Marie
Yes.
Shadows. That's a good sister right there.
Big shout out to Marie Shadows, man. She's
Yeah.
great people, man. If you guys want to watch another good, uh, yeah,
Hmm.
Marie Shadows. If you want to hear a good podcast, Marie Shadows is the one to listen to
She's
for
the
sure.
one, man.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, oh shit, I forgot where I was going. Oh fuck, what was I saying?
You were talking about how you,
Oh,
me, and
yeah,
Marie were in the
yeah.
discussion space and putting
Oh yeah,
WWE on a
I'm
break.
on. I'm on a WWE. I put WWE on a timeout,
Yeah.
and I already wasn't watching the main roster. I didn't watch SmackDown, didn't watch like it. It went like this. There was like a kind of like degradation, a gradual degradation that happened over time. Right? Obviously, they go to
Yeah.
3 hours, and the quality
Well,
gets
for
shit. Right?
me, it got to the point where NXT was becoming bigger than Raw and SmackDown put together.
Yeah. So, and that's the funny thing too, right? So, like at a time we are like, oh, Raw's 3 hours. If you said that in the Attitude Era, I'd have been like, woo, but
Yeah.
not now, right? And you know, a couple things happened. They basically said like they're not building stars. They want you almost like Ringling Brothers. When you see Ringling Brothers, it's not any one act; it's the conglomerate of the whole thing, right? So it was part of that. And then I kind of went like, I wasn't watching the full episodes. And then when they were on Hulu here in the
Right.
states, on Hulu, then it was a 90-minute version of it, right? Even 90 minutes was too much when I could watch
Wow.
another show on Hulu, right? And then I would watch the 3 minute, 3 to 8 minute deals on YouTube, right? The recaps, and then I could do it no more, right? And my last kind of stand was NXT UK. NXT UK is probably my favorite, WWE output, right?
Oh, I watched that too. I watched that
Yeah,
too. Like that's where I got to see Walter. I got to see
Walter,
Ilya Dragunov, who probably
yes,
put on one of the best matches I seen
Shinny,
before they they put on a match in the U.S.
yeah,
I caught
absolutely,
that at a not at a pay per view either. It was like normal
yeah,
TV show. They
yeah.
put on, and I remember tweeting about it. Like I just seen the best match of my life between Ilya Dragunov and Walter.
Hmm.
It's like they're hiding that talent.
Yeah, which and that's the thing, right? So now I don't know what happened first, or one is in relation to the other. I would imagine so, but again, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, Triple H, well, Paul Levesque, I would say, right? Because Triple H didn't have. It's like the whole Hogan
Or Jean Pierre Levesque, if you will.
Levesque. Yeah, well, it's the fucking the Hogan,
Yeah,
versus Gawker fucking thing. Are
yeah,
you talking about Terry Bollea's penis, or are you talking about Hulk Hogan's penis? Right,
yeah,
like
yeah,
so.
yeah,
So it's Paul Levesque that had the heart attack, and
yeah,
maybe Triple H was or terrorizing was affected by such a thing happening. But in any event, um, so Vince gets the book for NXT, right? Does the whole rebranding, and then we find out that Paul Levesque, Triple H, is has a heart attack or recovering from heart surgery, some weird fucking shit,
some
right?
cardiac event is the corporate
Events.
way they put it.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, just like so he went to the local medical facility, and it's a special event, not broadcast on the WWE
yeah,
Now Peacock network.
yeah.
Ooh. Anyway, too many Vinceisms, right? But I look at NXT UK and ICW. Club ICW is amazing. Progress isn't what it was because now they're under the WWE umbrella, or at least
Evolve's not too bad either.
right. No, it isn't. It isn't. But I just kind of go like, oh, this is indicative the way that they wrestle, the way that they do things. It's
Yeah,
indicative that Vince doesn't know this is here. Okay, and once Vince finds out it's here, it will be here no longer.
yeah,
That's and
yeah.
like that. I don't want to get invested in it anymore. And I'm not saying like Ginny, Belle to Belle, and in terms of a character, she is the most unique looking. Like her facial expressions are money.
Yeah,
Like, she
yeah.
could sell. She her selling is amazing, right? And she's all of what 90 pounds and what have you.
Oh, dude. You know who I think they made a mistake with? Was Piper Niven, calling her Dewdrop.
Well, okay, so Piper.
Why didn't they? Why when they brought her in? Why didn't they use her as Piper Niven instead of Dewdrop? What? This is what I don't understand.
Can I?
Yeah,
So, her and Kaylee Ray got Me Too'd, right? You know that,
Kaylee.
right?
Oh, I
No,
love Kaylee Ray,
no, no,
man.
no, no. Like, listen, they got Me Too'd. You
Ooh,
remember when the whole speaking out and Me Too and everything like that?
yeah,
They got Me Too'd, both of them, right? So what ends up happening? Um, and it might have not been like sexual, but at the very least, the bullying, right?
yeah,
That's when people were speaking out against them, right? And then
right.
Piper drops off TV. Kaylee Ray I mean, this was the time, in the thick of the pandemic, right? So like,
Right.
it wasn't like they were doing TV anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, what have you? And then they, not too soon after, you don't see her on TV, but not too soon after, when they start doing the what is it, the BT Studios in over in London,
Yes.
then she drops the title to Satomura, right? And they do one where like Satomura loses the first time and then gets her
Yeah, I've
comeuppance the
seen that.
second.
I've seen that.
Right.
I've seen both matches. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, right? I don't know for sure. I don't have an in with the company or whatever,
Yeah.
but I think it's like, kind of like, yes, they want to invest in her, but this, people could put in the Google machine, right? What did Triple H say when people were asking about China? Oh, well, she has some material in the internet, and I wouldn't want my daughters looking up to see who she is, right?
Let's see
So,
what ask them what a porn star is. They're gonna know by that time.
yeah, and you
I mean, come on.
and then you that was your
And
fiance.
he's the one that screwed around on her anyway.
Yes,
So there you
exactly.
go. So
I
he just didn't. He just wanted to distance.
yeah.
I don't like the way they brought her in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I cringed when he tells her
We did
sister.
it. We did it. You did what?
Yeah,
You fucked around on her
yeah,
with Stephanie McMahon. You married Stephanie McMahon. You're now a boss.
yep.
What do you got to be proud about? You're the one
And
that screwed around on her.
right, and he's telling it to her mom and her sister. The sister who Joni Lauer
Splitting
didn't.
image of Joni.
Yeah,
Splitting image.
but she didn't talk to Joni for 2 years before Joni passed away. One, and then two, the mom. Joni didn't grow up with her mom, right? So what's
I remember the thing going around about her mom questioning her sexuality.
yes, which
I
who
remember
gives a
that.
shit? But the thing about it is, she grew. I think Joni and the sister grew
Yeah.
up with their dad because of the mom's substance abuse issues, something to that effect. But Joni didn't really grow up with her mom, and then when she
Yeah.
was like 12, her mom comes back in the picture. Too little, too late. And then 4 years later, she's joining the Peace Corps and what have you at 16. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just weird to me. And like, we did it. You can't say we, fucker. You could
No.
have did it anytime. When she was doing the
Yeah.
documentary and she was around fucking charlatans, unfortunately. But when she came to Titan Tower, you could have called off the fucking security. She had a fucking mental breakdown,
Yeah.
right? Be a star. That was the same time they were running the fucking Be a Star campaign. What the
Yeah.
fuck, man?
You could tell she was bullied too because of the way she looked. You can tell she went through a lot of bullcrap.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
And she did make a little bit of note of that. She says, "I may look like a man, but I still like doing my hair. I still like putting on makeup. I am a woman."
yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. But that's the thing. Like, they talk on both sides of their mouth. Is the WWE does, and that's kind of where I'm just like Benoit, horrible tragedy. That's on your hands. That's on your hands because
Yeah.
you could have tested him. You knew shit. You guys knew shit was wrong with Benoit. You knew he was a little bit off. You
He
knew
he
he
was a
didn't
little
take
bit off, and the thing is too, you don't drink alcohol while you're taking steroids.
right. Exactly. Well, but you know about the brain study, right? Or they studied his brain.
I didn't hear about that. No.
No. So basically, well, Michael Benoit, Chris's father,
Hmm.
basically went ahead and donated Chris's brain to the
Science.
Concussion Legacy Institute with
Okay.
Chris Nowinski's company, right? Chris
Okay.
Nowinski, former WWE guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Harvard graduate, and it turns out that Benoit, in terms of his brain state,
Yeah.
he had the brain of a 70-year-old dementia ridden woman. He had so much brain damage and cell kind of whatever that it literally fucking changed his gender.
Wow.
So that's that's on your hands, right?
Yeah.
Owen obviously is on your hands, right? He denies an angle with fucking Deborah that was going to cause him his wife strife. The at least his oldest son Oj, you know, people are going to be like, "Oh, your dad is cheating on your mom with the fucking manager," and you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, so he denied that, and then he was left with no other choice but to fucking, you know, have that stunt in Kemper Arena in Kansas City, which ended
Yeah.
up taking his life. And look at the value of Owen. He fucking saved. He knew he was done, and he saved Jimmy Corderas' life because was cleaning up debris from the
Yeah.
hardcore match before, hardcore title match before. You know, and
Yeah.
so it's just like, fuck, man. You know, you're the same company that hired the guy that gave CM Punk Z-Packs to make him shit himself in the ring. Like, you have a concussion and you give him a fucking Z-Pack? Like, what the fuck? Like, I just got over COVID, like, within the last month or two, right? Or
Mhm.
last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I got prescribed Z-Packs because the fucking bodily functions weren't whatever. And I don't know if it was the COVID or I don't know if it was the Z-Packs, but I was shitting myself like a fucking shitstorm. Like, it was horrible, right? Not
Well,
to
I don't need that stuff. I have Crohn's, so.
there you go, there you go. But yeah, so you know, it's just like
Yeah.
there's too many fucking instances where WWE has gotten off scot free.
I think I think WWE doesn't do enough. I mean, they have improved. Don't get me wrong, as far as the safety of the athletes go and all that stuff. But I think there's a whole lot more they can do to
Absolutely.
ensure the safety of the athlete, to prevent stuff like Chris Benoit,
Yeah.
to prevent stuff like Owen Hart. You know, I think there's a lot more they
Eddie?
can do. I think that actually, when it comes down to it, I think everybody should do more to help their fellow man. Basically,
No, 100%. That's actually one of the reasons why I, you know, do interviews for the last 5 years,
right?
do podcasting because not only do I want to just cathartically, like I like storytelling, right, and I like
Right.
people story, but also here's these guys and girls, pro wrestlers, MMA fighters, jiu-jitsu folk, right, and there's a short window. Like I look at it like almost how Stone Cold Steve Austin did, right? He's like, I've got
Mhm.
like a 5 to 7 year window to make good on this. And if I
Yeah,
don't do it and I stay in too long or I get a debilitating injury, I'm fucked, right?
which happened to him anyway.
Right, exactly. So I want to make sure that these guys and girls coming up on the local scene here in Southern California, and then now because of this podcast that I've been doing for a little over a year, reaching
Mhm.
out to different promotions, different countries, different
Right.
wrestlers, and what have you, because hopefully all of them get a Megan O'Leary, Renee Paquette, you know, Joe Rogan interview, podcast, whatever, right? I don't want them to freeze up in front of the fucking camera because they've
I,
done so many of these with me.
yeah, I've Redmond there was on Talking Smack or something, or it was either after the pay per view or it was after Monday night Raw Talk, or she was on with Matt Camp, and she is a big name up here in Canada. She does
Renee?
no, not Renee Paquette. Redmond, Jody Redmond,
I'm not
Jackie
familiar.
Redmond,
I'm
Jackie
not.
Redmond. She was on a episode of with Matt Camp on either Talking Smack, or they actually, I just found out they signed her,
Oh yeah, three
and
days
she's a
ago.
big name. She used to work with Renee Paquette up here in Canada. Like,
Yeah, on the what was it? The score or was it?
yes, called The Aftermath on the Score.
Yeah, with Ardo Cal and
Yeah,
Jimmy
and
Corderas.
Jimmy Corderas,
Yep.
and what's his name there, Santino Marella.
Yeah, Anthony Corelli for sure.
Yeah, yeah, good Canadian boy.
Yeah, he is. I actually talked
His
to.
daughter, his daughter's getting involved too, and she, like, you know,
I I see.
You look at Santino, and you look at his daughter, and you kind of wonder,
I,
she came from him.
Yeah,
Like, wow.
yeah, yeah. No, I actually talked to. Oh, why am I fucking blanking on her name? Gosh, but she hails from she hails from um the the Santino school. God, why am I blanking on her name? Um,
Uh, it's not Aaliyah.
she no. Because she actually was the Battle Arts first women's champion. La 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 la. Where am I going? Let's see.
I'm blanking too. I know who you're talking about, and I'm blanking.
She is. I'm literally looking up at the archives. Amy Crimson. Amy Crimson.
Okay. Yeah.
So Amy Crimson, and the cool thing about Amy, and it's right, she couldn't be at a better school
Yeah.
because Corelli is a judo guy. Amy Crimson was a judoka before she entered pro wrestling, right?
Yeah.
So she's training with Bianca. She's training with Bianca Corelli,
Yeah.
Curtis Santino, and he does it almost in the instance of like how Josh Barnett trains his guys and girls, right? Josh Barnett has his guys and girls, and he trains them both MMA and pro wrestling. It's
Right.
synergistic, right? Teaches them how to
You almost
fall.
have to do it these days. That's the way you have to do it these days.
But he was doing that with Baszler. He was doing that with Marina Shafir. He was doing that with, like currently Victor Henry, who's about to be in a title fight for the 135-pound title
Hmm.
for Lights Out Extreme Fighting here in LA. So like he's done it. Ronda didn't train with him, but it's like
Yeah.
because Shayna and Marina were two of the four horsewomen,
Hmm.
so she got some of that too. But like, that's the thing. Amy Crimson was like, we do both. We don't just train in pro wrestling. We, if we're gonna be a pro wrestler, we're gonna have
Because
to know how
the
to
thing
handle
is,
ourselves.
and the thing is, a lot of people don't realize is, and it's two different types of cardio.
Yes, 100%.
See, a lot of people don't realize that MMA is a different cardio than it is for wrestling.
Yeah.
So they have to be familiar with both types
Yep.
before they can do either.
Yeah, it's almost like one of those pickup trucks that has the two tanks of gas, right?
Yeah.
Or petrol rather, right? And you gotta, which one are you gonna do? Are you gonna do your MMA petrol tank, or are you gonna do your
Yeah.
pro wrestling petrol tank? And whichever one you can tap into first, and bring elements of one or the other,
Hmm.
then I mean, there you go, pay dirt. All
Yeah.
right.
And then you get like you said, yeah, Ronda Rousey was the first. Well, wasn't the first. I think Shayna was in there before Rousey
Oh
was.
yeah, 100%. There was a bunch of them.
And then you had, well, look at Andre Arlovsky.
Yeah. Look at what he's
Okay,
doing in
he's making that
AEW.
transition to AEW. Okay,
Yeah. And actually, here's
American
a
Top Team, kind of like the
yeah,
American
Dan
Top Team
Lambert.
version of the Hurt Business, because that, if everybody doesn't know this, they're about to find out that the Hurt Business idea came from American Top Team, and that Bobby Lashley asked for permission to use that.
Right. Well, you know what the funny thing about that is, right? Like, so this all happens at Impact Wrestling,
Right?
around the time where there was the Impact versus GCW. Jeff Jarrett's what global? No,
Global
GFW.
Impact,
What was Global
GIW, wasn't it?
Force? It was Global Force, and then he sold it to Dixie. It got weird, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
I know at
so
one time they used to have their headquarters up here in Canada because for a while there, it was the headquarters were in Ottawa.
yeah, because of what is it?
Yeah.
What's
Scott
the
Demore? Scott Demore.
no, but the company that now owns Impact.
Right.
It's shit, me. It's a Canadian-based company. What's his name? Tom Pollock and Wei Ting were a part of it, and then they went solo. Where is it? Oh God, why?
I'm blanking out, but I
The,
know that
the,
they
the,
did.
the, the parent company of Access TV is
Okay.
God, Jesus Christ. Why am I usually know this shit. Uh, Anthem. Anthem. and
Yes, Anthem
yeah,
Entertainment.
yeah,
Anthem also has a record label too,
right, and
because Rush.
that's
That's who Rush's albums came through. Anthem
exactly
Records.
right. So when you think about it, right? So Anthem
Right.
owns both, Impact Wrestling and Invicta Fighting Championship. The
Invicta, yeah,
Right. So the whole like women's MMA, brand is a part of the Impact brand, and it's kind of funny because LFA Legacy Fighting Alliance was on there for quite a bit on Access TV, and they
yeah.
dropped him, bought Impact, but then buys buys Invicta. So I think it's kind of strange bedfellows. But in any event, I'm not surprised that the headquarters, because Anthem is largely a Canadian company, but then for some reason now they're headquartered in Nashville.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I know for a while they were doing because I know people who went to the tapings, some tapings up in Ottawa. Because after a while they stopped doing it in Florida, and they moved it into Ottawa for a while.
Yeah, yeah,
And now,
absolutely.
and now I find it's like all of a sudden it's back at the same sound stage in Florida, and I'm going, okay,
Well, no, not even
whatever.
that. No, no, no. AEW is doing that soundstage in Florida, or they did a couple tapings,
Yeah.
but no, Impact is doing the same size venue as they did in Canada, but in
Okay.
Nashville. And now
Yeah.
Impact's headquarters is in Nashville, and that kind of makes sense because if they're flying, especially now because of the pandemic, right? You
Yeah.
can't really. The border still closed to the U.S.
I probably could go down there, but I don't think anybody from down there can come up
Come
here.
up
I'm not
eggs,
sure.
right? So
Yeah.
that proves a problem for
Yeah.
largely 90% of the roster,
It is American. Yeah.
right? Even when what's it, Christian Cage was the champion, or is he
Yeah.
still the champion? Right?
Last I heard, he was.
Okay, yeah. So he lives in Florida. He lives in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
So even though he's Canadian,
He
he
has
lives in
American
Tampa.
citizenship. Yeah.
Yeah. So 90
Same thing with
percent.
Neil Young. Same thing with Neil Young. He recently got his American citizenship too.
I would have kept it. I would have kept hopefully they could do a duel because
I'd
but
love to have a duel. I'd love to have a duel,
yeah, but the thing about with the duel, like Brett,
but I won't vote.
yeah. Oh,
No, no,
we're
no, no.
st- we're we're stupid here. Don't keep keep your premiere because yeah, we're dumb. Like we still it's this weird fucking thing where we're like, oh, we have to have two parties. It's always been two parties. Like, motherfuckers, no, the Whig Party. Like the 15th president of the United States. I think there was three Whig Party fucking presidents and what have you, right? And people forget. That's just like, oh, here, right? Like Colin Kaepernick got into the trouble because he was kneeling for the flag, right? I was like, he should be fucking standing for the national anthem, okay? Like, then how come you aren't singing all three verses? And the third verse talks about like, oh, hanging slaves and shit, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the rebel flag, right? The stars and bars that Dukes of Hazard and
I can't say as I fully understand that situation. I don't agree with them removing it. I don't think it's right. It is a
what?
piece of history, and people should refer to that.
Well, the thing about it is, it's not American history.
Right.
You know why, right?
Actually, I don't know too much about American
We
history. No.
we had this thing called the Civil War, right?
Okay, that
Where
I
literally
do know. It was
the
slave owners against non-slave owners, basically, is
right,
what it boiled
but
down to.
they had their own government. They had
Right.
their own currency. They had their own president named Jefferson Davis, right? So if
Yes.
you're gonna honor that side of your heritage, don't call yourself an American
Yeah.
because it's not American history.
But it is tied into it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where you go one or the other.
Yeah.
Are you American or are you a son of the Confederacy or daughter of the Confederacy? Which that was one of the parties and one of the super PACs here in the
Right.
states,
Right.
right? So
Yeah, I
don't
agree.
stars and bars and then also go racism doesn't exist because
Yeah, that's bullshit.
right. Like this, they just had this deal here in L.A., one city, Manhattan Beach, a pretty affluent, part of
Yeah,
society, right?
I've heard of Manhattan Beach.
Yeah. So basically, there was a couple, a affluent African American couple. I don't know the time period, but they buy this beachfront property,
Mhm.
like acres and acres, for like $1,100 at that time.
Wow.
It's now worth $75 million, and it's been almost over 100 years that they've been trying to fight it, and they won. The governor and the city council person who ordains it gives it
Yeah.
back to the family. But it
Nice.
took almost 100, or if not over 100 years, to do so.
That's. I don't understand that. I mean, people are people. We bleed the same blood, man.
You
The
you would
blood is red. The blood is red.
you
That's
would
all there is to it. It's the same blood.
you would think so. You would think so, but when you get to like superiority, that's why I don't. I'd rather go self-deprecating, right?
Okay.
Than like, oh, I am, because like I don't need to, like, I've got the same genealogy or similar to, you know, The Rock or a Roman
All right.
Reigns or what have you.
Yeah.
I'm all
Yeah.
of 5'9". I'm a portly son of a bitch, right?
Yeah.
So, like, why am I going to go like I've got superior genes? Because clearly, especially like hell, my son is almost taller than I am, and he's 14,
Oh,
right?
my
So,
son is younger than me, but like he's like, yeah. My son is right tall.
right. So like that's the kind of deal. It's like
Yeah.
why, like, the whole superiority thing is stupid, right? Like how we have our politicians, right? Where we're like, you win a popularity contest, at least here in the states, right?
Yeah.
You win a popularity contest, and then now you're supposed to know everything about healthcare. You're
Right.
supposed to know everything about the the war. You're supposed to know everything about finance. Like, that's not it. Like, I'm a decent enough podcaster, but I'm pretty shit at everything else.
I'd like to think of myself as an okay podcaster, being involved with Wrestle Buddy, but I'd like to think I am. But I mean, if I'm honest with myself, I'll sit back and I'll look and I'll say, okay, what did I do wrong here? Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm very. I think it's a case of everybody is their own worst critic.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to think I do okay. I mean, and I think I am. I mean, because I'm here on your show, obviously. So that tells me like, okay, I'm doing okay, man.
Well, you're on the show because you're a hashtag good brother, hashtag brother me softly,
Yeah.
being, yeah. But that's the thing. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's it's so weird. I actually
I'm
think,
sorry for that shameless plug, but
no, hell
I had
no.
to plug
Like,
my team,
fucking
right?
do it
It's not just me.
as many times as you want, and I'll fucking send me links. I'll fucking tweet it and share it and all that. Because that's the thing, right? In any
Yeah.
other vocation, right? People are
All right.
selling out their moms for, a better position or better pay rate. There isn't a better position or better pay rate that exists that would stop me from helping out
I
my friends.
I love doing this. I mean, I'm not making any money, mind you, but
Ah,
at the,
your palatial igloo.
I, I'm frozen up here. No, but in all actuality, I do live in a house. We do have houses up here, not just igloos.
Wow, tempting.
But I remember talking to an American one time, and I had to laugh. They said, "Do you guys still live in igloos?" And I go,
Wow. Okay.
yes, they thought we lived in igloos. I couldn't believe it. I just laughed so freaking hard.
Well, I
No,
mean,
we have houses like everybody else in the world. Yeah.
well, I mean, Sarah Palin, even though it's Alaska and it's part of us, right? But I mean, come on, Alaska's more Canadian than the U.S.,
Yeah, I
right?
don't know why they call it part of the U.S.
I, we don't make any sense.
No,
My
we
my
don't.
my mom, my mom came from an English Commonwealth called Fiji, right? Comes over
Yes, yes,
here,
yeah, yeah.
and then they have the nerve to tell my mom and ostracize her for it that she doesn't speak English.
I think that's bullshit.
Now think about an Afghani refugee. Think about a person from South America.
Or Syrian refugees. They
France,
get more.
right?
They get more. The way I see it, I'm not being racist. Don't get me wrong, but the way I see it, I find that they're getting more out of the government than the people who put the government in there
Ah,
are.
not really, because everybody's even Donald Trump is immigrant. Donald Trump's
Yes,
wife
yes,
actually
yes.
has
She's
to
an
have.
immigrant also.
Well, the only way that she got her citizenship is because Donald became
Mary Trump.
president.
Yeah.
Well, even as rich as or wealthy as Donald Trump purports to be, right?
Yeah.
He couldn't get her citizenship nor his in-laws. He gets it and makes an executive order in the fucking White House to fucking make them citizenship. They didn't have to pass a fucking test. They didn't have to do any of that shit. And again, it's weird, right? Because you were talking about like the people coming over, right? People coming over
Oh, I'm not
and
racist.
stealing the
I
resource.
talked to these people. Some
I
of these
don't think it's a
people.
race though. It's not so much a race. I think it's a classation, right?
Yeah.
But there are towns like farming towns all
Mhm.
over the U.S., right?
Yes. And
Where
Canada. Yeah.
nobody of natural American citizen want to do shoveling up cow shit, planting weed. I mean, like produce and
Did
all
that?
that
You
shit.
did that for a living
Right,
at a horse race track?
right. But nobody here wants to do it, right?
Yeah.
So they hire the illegals, and then they set up these raids. And guess what happens? That's why our meat and produce go higher, because
Yeah.
now they can't meet the fucking production because they hired people that could do the fucking job that want to do that. They just happen to be illegals, and the people who hire them are pretty extremely conservative, but they fucking back, like their
Yeah.
right to. They've worked as hard as anyone else. I mean, here Ellis Island, right? The fucking Statue of Liberty, right? That
Yes.
was that was the beacon of
That
hope
was
for
made. That was
everybody
made. That was made in France, I do
in
believe. Wasn't it?
France.
Was
Yeah,
it not?
absolutely. It was. I think it was bronze because it's the oxidization over the years
Yeah.
that made it kind of that greenish tone or whatever, the lime and shit. Kind
Yeah.
of what happens in your shower, if it's too steamy and you don't clean it, right? So that's the thing. But these are these are things that we don't talk about, and even
Yeah.
um, conventional education won't tell you. Because
And you know what? A lot of times, speaking of that, a lot of times I think we're being taught the wrong thing
in
because
everything,
it's
there's no
later it's
finance.
been proven in history that that wasn't always the way it happened.
So there's this guy. He's a comedian. His name is Robert Wool. He used to play on
Oh,
this.
I like him. He
Yes,
acted, if I remember correctly, I think he acted in the movie An Officer and a Gentleman.
he was. Yeah, he was an officer and gentleman. He was
Yes.
Arliss on HBO.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
so he does this two-part series, right?
Hmm.
It's only a half hour each of them. It's called Assume the Position. Okay,
I've heard of
and
it. Yeah.
and he takes the piss out of everything that we were taught in, like at least here in America.
Right.
So basically, what ends up happening is what ends up happening. He tells a story, and a story that's been told over and over throughout history
Like
was
Paul Revere and all that
yes,
stuff, like stuff like
absolutely.
that. It wasn't his name wasn't actually. I think it was
No, no,
Nathaniel
no.
something.
It was Paul Revere. It
Yeah.
was definitely Paul Revere.
Yeah.
But in terms of what Paul Revere rode, right? It was
Right.
only about 12 miles, which is still pretty impressive on a horse. But there was a gentleman named Nathaniel Bissell.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I
Nathaniel
remember that.
Bissell
I did have
fucking
that. I
went
did hear that.
from northeast
There
to,
were like something 300, 350 miles on his horse.
yeah, redcoats are coming, the whole fucking thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, think about who's the rock star, who's the Kardashians of their time. Oh, art like authors, right? Because that's the only
Yeah,
way that you consume media, writers and authors. Well, there's a gentleman named Washington Irving, right?
I heard
Washington
that one.
Irving,
Yeah,
Legend of Sleepy Hollow,
yeah,
right? Ichabod Crane, okay? So,
yeah.
so that dude's a fucking rock star, right? And everything he says is gospel, right? So
Right.
what ends up happening? He wants to tell the story of America, how they defeated the evil British. But what sounds more heroic, Nathaniel Bissell or Paul Revere?
Yeah, true.
So that's that. And even here in the states, and I don't. It's not even as talked about as Paul Revere.
Well, look at the situation in history with Laura Secord coming up to Canada saying, the Americans are about to try to evade you here.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing much said about it.
right. Or even here in the states, there's Rosa Parks is a pretty
Oh, she's. I
okay.
like I
Do
like
you
Rosa Parks.
but do you know the story?
No, I don't.
Okay, so
The only thing I know about Rosa Parks, it had to do with the seat on the bus.
right. Okay, so here's the deal.
That's the only part of her that I know.
So what ends up happening is I want to say a week, no more than a week,
Right.
before Rosa Parks says, kind of stands on the bus and what have you. There's a unwed 14 to 16-year-old black pregnant girl.
Yeah.
Okay, she's unwed. This is what, the 50s, so taboo, and this is in fucking Montgomery, Alabama, where they tried to
Yeah,
get
that's where it all started. Yeah.
right. So what ends up happening is the NAACP in Montgomery doesn't want this out, right? That it was an unwed mother, of 14 to 16, high school age, right?
Yeah.
No education, right? And is pregnant. They don't want that out. It's not a good look for them as they're trying to fucking get civil rights, adapted, right? So they hire their secretary named Rosa Parks to less than a week later do almost the exact same thing. But she's dressed all nice to the nines.
Yeah.
She has groceries. She was a plant, is essentially what happened. She was a plant, and the NAACP actively paid things like the New York Post, the Boston Gazette, like all the major markets, right?
Yeah.
Money to run that story rather than the, you know, 14 to 7 or 14 to 16-year-old unwed pregnant mother.
Yeah.
Was a better PR spin, and then everywhere else fucking trickled out. So not to say that Rosa Parks was a hero, but she's a plant, and
Yeah.
do with it what you will, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
I mean, what about the girl? What about the girl who was pregnant? And
we don't even know her name.
What happened to her?
We don't even know her name.
Yep.
Or Emmett Till, right? Beaten mercilessly, right?
Mhm.
To the point where you can't even see his. He doesn't look the same. He looks like a fucking alien, right? Because he supposedly coming from Chicago down to the south,
Mhm.
he was whistling at an Anglo woman, and her, her her husband and his crew ends up wanting to, do harm, right? So that happens. So it's not until the lady is on her deathbed that she reveals she made the whole fucking thing up.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, we got,
What are we supposed to do with people like that?
well, she was already fucking meeting her maker.
Yeah.
So there's not much she could do. It's like the fucking Snooker thing, right? He
Yeah.
killed that girl.
But we don't know how. We don't know why.
Oh. If
Oh
you
wait,
hear,
didn't he? Wasn't he supposedly choked her or something?
yep. eerily similar to Benoit, right? And I'm
Yeah, I think
Fijian,
that's where
right?
Benoit may have gotten his idea, but he did it with a pillow.
Well, with the son with the pillow,
Yeah.
the wife Nancy with the pillow, and then the son, he choked him, acted like he was gonna hug him, choked him, and yeah. So, but in any event, right?
Yeah.
It, we okay. I don't know. I mean, the statute of limitations are off, and they've made countless. They made the Dark Side of the Ring,
Hmm.
so I don't think I'm speaking out of school.
All right.
He killed her, got taken to the Allentown, Pennsylvania fucking police, and remember, in Allentown, that's where the WWF did all of their TV tapings.
Yeah.
So they're fucking celebrities for the '70s, right? They're rock
Yeah.
stars. Andre the Giant, Ernie Ladd, Vince
Oh,
himself, right?
yeah.
So Vince shows up to the Allentown PD with a briefcase. Don't know what the contents of the briefcase was, but Snuka gets off until he gets retried again and talk about
By that
dementia.
time, he's too sick. He's on his deathbed.
Yep, it's the same thing that's happening with like in Cosby now.
Yeah.
How the fuck? I think he got off. How the fuck did that happen? How the fuck did OJ get off?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people of color that are wrongfully accused for murder, but then also non-violent, you know, drug offenses. And
Right.
hell, if you had some like what is it? You had some shrooms on you or some weed on you in 1982, you're still doing time. Well, guess what? Here in California, all that shit is legal,
Yeah.
and you're still
It's,
doing
it's,
time.
it's legal. Well, weed and all that stuff legal up here too. So I
Yeah,
mean, across the
but
board. So,
but those guys and girls are still doing time.
and that's sad.
Exactly. So there are a lot of wrongful deaths at the hands of cops. There are a lot of miscarries of justice, if you will, right?
Yeah. Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, every nation is guilty of that, whether they
Oh
want
yeah.
to recognize that or not, and a lot of them don't.
Look at what was it? The Boston Tea Party, right?
Yeah.
You get a bunch of Anglo gents, rich ones at that, because who else can afford paint to paint themselves like the natives, right?
Yeah.
Right? Paint themselves like the natives and take a shit ton of tea and dump it into the river. That wasn't theirs,
Nope.
right? But I want to believe that one of their descendants lives in Texas, and they might have been in the Texas kind of parliament, whatever, where they were like, "Hey, if you come into my house or my property, I'm gonna shoot you." Well,
Yeah.
motherfucker, who shot your great grandpa when he was throwing tea in the fucking river, dressed up like a native? Because if the English fucking retaliated, they would go after the natives and they would get off scot free. And also, one of the most horrible ecological disasters in American history.
Yeah,
How
because
many?
there's a lot of things they can't fish now because of that incident.
Right, right. So again, this is, my dad always taught me it's his story, and usually the people that tell the story are the people with the money, right? It's
Yeah.
the trope of the $1 million man. Everybody's got a price, right? Because
Yeah.
the people that are working, they're too busy to try and figure out what the fuck are being happened. I revert back to George Carlin, right? It's a big fucking club. Y'all ain't invited. That's don't care if you're liberal, don't care if you're conservative.
Yeah.
That's all the fucking same, right? Unless you're in that, how can the top 1% of the world population earn more than the other 99%, or the top 2%? I'm sorry, top 2% earns more per capita than the other 98% that you and I both subscribe to, right? And look who's not paying taxes versus us that are paying taxes.
Yeah.
and we don't know what that number is.
Entertainers. Vince McMahon is trying to push for that for WWE, the wrestlers to not pay taxes. I guess he's been pushing for that.
Well, you know why, right?
Sports
Because
entertainment.
Andrew Yang has been on his ass.
Yeah.
Andrew Yang is a first generation Taiwanese immigrant that is a millionaire, right? And basically, he ran for president here, didn't work out. He ran for mayor of New York, it didn't work out, what have you. And he's actually trying to create a third party once more, right? We're kind of the only civilized country that doesn't have more than two parties. It's one or the other, right?
Yeah.
And it's fucking weird. So that's what he's trying to do. He was also the one who was trying to do the universal basic income, where you get $1,200 a month for every tax-paying person, whatever. That's obviously for LA, where fucking rent for a one-bedroom apartment is or studio apartment in some circles is like $3,000 a month. Obviously, $1,200 a month isn't going to do shit for you. But
No.
if you can at least clothe yourself and feed yourself, then all of the rest you can kind of fucking figure out and get a job. There are people that work at Walmart, right?
Yeah.
That don't, they work fucking 40 plus hours a week and still considered part time because they don't want to give the employees fucking healthcare and benefits and
Yeah.
401k retirement, right? How the fuck? I was actually talking to one of my friends who's a former MMA fighter.
Okay.
As an amateur, and Stephen Paparocki, right? And his wife was actually supposed to fight for LFA 2 weeks ago, right?
Okay.
Stephen was telling me, as an amateur mixed martial artist, with fight pay and sponsorship, 10 years ago, he was making five figures.
Wow.
Versus current day amateur MMA folk, it, it's almost like they've adopted the NCAA deal. If you're an amateur, you can't get paid. So, but then you still have to do your medicals. You still got to get your license. You still have
Yeah.
to pay your gym fees, which just jujitsu alone could be $300 a month. Just jujitsu, not striking, not your nutritionist, not your, your regular gym where you're keeping yourself all together,
All right.
right? So where the fuck is this money coming from? It's going out. I know. It's almost like I heard in instances of like car racing, right? If
Yeah.
you start off, one race could set you back about $80,000. One race,
Oh, big time.
right? So, as an amateur fighter, you could you could essentially for one fight, $5,000 out of your pocket, right? And that's assuming that you're fighting in town. Because if you're fighting away from town or different part of the state, that's another cost incurred. And maybe you don't have a car that can make it, so you gotta weight cut with your coach's car and drive. So you're weight cutting as you're driving. You're not in the best of moods,
Yeah.
right? You're depleting your body of oxygen. You're killing your kidneys essentially, right? And then you're gonna go fucking fight. Here in California, it's same day weigh-ins, right? So you weigh in the morning, you fight that night, right? Which I think is humane, right? Like you fight at your weight, So with that all being said, it doesn't matter. Your brain doesn't know when you're getting punched in the face, when you're getting
Yeah.
kicked in the head, that this is amateur or pro, right? And you make no money for it.
How do they expect these people to survive?
And it's funny because the fact of the matter is there has never been more money in combat sports. I'm talking about pro wrestling. I'm including pro wrestling there. You've got
Mhm.
New Japan, you've got All Japan, you've got AEW, WWE, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, United Wrestling Network. Billy Corgan has the NWA, Shine, Shimmer, Joshi Wrestling, what have you. Then Invicta, UFC, One Championship, Bellator, um, LFA, lights out. There have never been more uh, money in combat sports, right?
Right.
Especially in that upper echelon when you're talking the AEWs, the WWEs, the UFC, and Bellator. All of their, all of their fucking front office and decision makers are extremely right wing. Okay,
Okay.
extremely right wing, and no harm, no foul. Whatever you believe, you're led to
Yeah.
believe this and what have you. So, not trying to shit on anybody's political references. There, I think that's why we're kind of where we are right now. We got our heads up our asses because, like, oh, you're this and you're that, or got to identify with what. Fuck, man. Like, you cool? Let's be cool. Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm me. You're you. Let's
Right.
let's talk.
Right. So with that all being said, it's just like
Right.
they put so Dana White, proud, hard on the paint Trump supporter, even though with when Trump was the money man behind Affliction MMA, he wanted to take Dana out. He wanted to take
Yeah.
Dana out, but now they're friends, right? The WWE, right?
Same
The
thing.
yeah, same thing.
And he's in the Hall of Fame there.
He's in the Hall of Fame. That's actually Roger.com is how I figured out that because I was sick. I had a fucking horrible ass migraine, took off from work, like was violently vomiting and all that shit. And I
Right.
was like, I got to do my fucking civic duty. And I took a bus before I could even get home. I took a bus to go vote, and then I either walked or fucking Ubered back home, right?
Yeah.
And it was like 3 in the morning. Everybody was all fucking political, blah blah blah. I was like, I don't. I think it was a Monday night. I was like, what happened on fucking Raw, right? And then the headline of fucking Roger.com says WWE Hall of Famer becomes the 45th president of the United States, and I was like, oh shit, Jesse Ventura made a run in. Fuck yeah! And then I click on the article, and I was like, oh no, oh no, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't vote for her either. So to be clear, I mean the total disclosure: Bernie Sanders, Dr. Jill Stein, Tulsi Gabbard. You know, I did vote for the bigger two parties, right? So I say all that to say, right? Linda leaves her COO position with the WWE, spends $12 million on two failed Senate bids there in Connecticut, where they fucking made $1 billion fucking corporation, right? Took a
Yeah.
regional fucking fledgling company to $1 billion fucking corporation, loses both times, donates $8 million to the Trump campaign, and she becomes the small business chairperson of America. Telling you not to do Black Friday, but Small Business Saturday, right
Yeah.
after, and support your
Yeah.
small business, right? Like it's like the most egregious is Combate Global, right? Combate
Right.
Global, they had a male to female transgender, right? Male to female transgender fight a gal from France with a 0-1 record who hasn't fought in 7 years. And they were just, oh my God, we're so equal. We're equal rights, da da da, whatever. The very next night, they were in Miami with Trump and Tito Ortiz in that fucking celebrity boxing fight, hobnobbing it. And I was just like, the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
you know what's done in the dark comes to light? Not here. Because they're both in the light. They're plunging like they get glad to be like yes, transgender. And then what happens to the fucking
The
se-
lady who hasn't fought in 7 years,
yeah,
like what happened to her?
exactly. She probably got a couple $100 and a free trip from France.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Uh,
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did nothing for her fridge.
oh yeah. Here's the funny. I mean, not the funny. It's horrible. It's actually really horrible. But there was a male to female transgender named Fallon Fox, right?
Hmm.
And uh, it's controversial, but like for me, one of the people that Fallon Fox fought was one of my former teammates. Now, I wasn't
Okay.
in the gym while she was training for Fallon, but she came in after whatever. She's she's never the same. She's the one who actually got her head caved in by Fallon.
Right.
Her her neurological is off. Like I was actually working at a hardware store. She needed like some chain, whatever, and where the display had the chain, it was up in the or a rope or something like that. It was up in the air. She had to point to it, but she couldn't look up. If she looks up, she gets dizzy and passes out.
Wow.
Right? Fallon Fox gets in the cage with Ashley Evan Smith, a friend of the show, and in the UFC now, right? Host of the fellow podcaster, host of the Sex and Violence with the Rubber Girl podcast,
Okay.
right? Ashley Evan Smith beats Fallon Fox, and Fallon Fox retires, never to be seen again. What happened to this burgeoning career, right? So it's to me, the hypocrisy stems from both sides, right? And it's just
Right.
like and feel how you feel. Obviously, I haven't walked that line, right? Like, you know, uh, my mom's family is from Fiji, right? Mom's family is from Fiji. The only people that have guns are the military. Not
Right.
even the police have guns. But what the police do have are 3 pound clubs that look like tomahawks and maces. The tomahawk looking motherfucker, it has a thing
Yeah.
like this. So, and it's been in Fiji lore since hell before Jesus, right? But you put it here and you twist like that and it cuts your jugular, okay?
Whew.
Right? Or a mace, right? And the thing with Fiji, it's guilty until proven innocent. So go ahead, sag your pants. Go ahead and tattoo your face. Go ahead and look suspicious, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Cool story, bro. Cool story, sis. Because they'll beat you. When cops came to Fiji in the early 90s, right? They tried to have a, what is it? A chase, right? Because they saw it on cops, right? So
Yeah.
high speed chase. Guy steals a loaf of bread from the market and he jumps on his beach cruiser with flip flops. Woohoo! He's like, I got away. There's 2 Fijian Royal Police with fucking essentially the dress version of the wraparounds, right? We call
Okay.
it Zulu. Well, they were raiding with the fucking clubs. They beat him off the bike. He was on life support for a loaf of bread.
That's unreal.
Yeah, but that's the way we still operate,
People got to leave. People got to eat. People got to survive, man.
right? But then people's like if it goes like Johnny Rotten. Johnny Rotten is like, fucking. We live in Venice in a multi-million-dollar house. Oh, the multi-million dollars made from the punk movement that was
Yeah.
anti-authority, and he's on like, get the fucking homeless away. But then also, I'm broke.
Yeah. Yeah. Get the homeless away. I'm broke.
Yes, yeah, get the homeless away. I'm broke, and I need your help. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just it's all hypocritical, like the punk and the metal movements, right? Like anti-establishment, anti-authority, right?
Right.
But if you don't like that band, if you don't have the right colors, if you don't have enough spikes, you're not punk enough. You're not metal enough. Isn't that an establishment? How is that different than the fucking country clubs?
True. True.
It's a
That's true.
punk.
I mean, speaking. I mean, I've kind of been on both sides of that because
Yeah,
I do play drums on the side when I can.
yeah,
But with COVID, I can't play shit.
right, exactly.
Um, am I going to play again? Who knows? Do I want to play again?
Of course.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
But is it going to happen? Doubt it.
Well, the thing about it, you can't lose. I feel like Billy Joel, right? You got to keep the faith, and I'm not a
Who
faith.
is also quote unquote broke?
Oh no, well, if you, it's almost like Ric Flair when you have as many kids slash
Yeah.
divorces as that guy has,
Yeah.
you're kind of broke. And that
Yeah.
you know the story, right? After he got with Brinkley,
Yeah.
or maybe before he got maybe his first wife, right? his his first wife was his manager, right? And then stops. I don't know who came first, but I was just actually watching a YouTube video on it.
Right.
So it was his brother-in-law and his wife that were managing him. Then arguably, before,
They both quote unquote
oh, they fucking extorted, not extorted his ass, but they fucking stole
everything.
millions. And not just that, but rights,
Yeah.
like publishing rights. He doesn't own his music. It's almost like the Beatles and Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Like McCartney is like, hey, Michael, you got all this money, you should fucking get some publishing rights from people. Michael says, haha, I will, and buys the fucking Beatles catalog, right?
Yeah.
They had a rift after that, but
Yeah.
that's the fucking the truth of the matter. The As Don Henley says, the heart of the matter, right? And so, yeah, he's selling out Madison Square Garden every month, right?
Yep.
He may live in a gated community, but it's far from the biggest house on the block,
Yeah.
right? And when you look at it, right? Who else is like that? There's somebody else that kind of lives in that manner, and it's just like you
It
might,
was Lemmy Kilmister lived in a one-bedroom apartment his whole life.
yes, yeah, oh, the right 2 blocks away from the Rainbow on Sunset Boulevard, and that's it. And again, bad business deals and whatever, and that's what I was kind of saying. Like we kind of expect our leaders to know everything. They win a popularity contest. Who
Right.
can say this shit better? It's no different than fucking school elections, right? No better.
Right.
And then you expect them to fucking know about finances, whatever. Again, Lemmy is a fucking rock and metal god. Literally, along with Ozzy and Black Sabbath, invents the
Yeah.
fucking genre, or at least recategorizes it to what we know now, right? Sets a whole new place, but not. So they're also supposed to be an accountant. They're also supposed to be a lawyer to decipher legalese.
Yeah.
No, you don't. And they trust these people, and they get fucked over. You know. So that's that when people go hard on the paint about
Right.
heritage and like legacy and shit like that. But is it your
If they,
actual heritage or is it?
if they keep going the way they're going, there's going to be nothing to be proud about.
I think we might here in the states we might be on the verge of civil war. And the reason why I say it, the left and the politicians that do the bidding, supposedly,
Right.
all they do is the bidding for the big multi-level conglomerate, international conglomerates, right? People on the right? So MSC, NBC, the fucking CNNs on the left, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then the conservative, Republican, Fox News, Breitbart's, all this shit. Trump. I mean, unfortunately, we have a guy at the very least, has CTE as a 46. He has
Okay.
traumatic brain injury at the very least. But also, my family when we came here, well, there's a lot of people that come here from the islands that do caregiving that may or may not have their papers, and they
Right.
worked so they can get their papers, right? I have dealt with people with dementia and Alzheimer's myself.
Right.
There's something in President Biden that speaks to some sort of neurological dissonance. Okay? Then the vice president can't talk her way out of fucking wet paper bag. She could have fucking Scottie Pippen fucking lobbing her the fucking questions and still fuck it up.
Yeah.
She was on her when she was trying to run for president, talking about the border and how it's horrible that fucking kids are locked in cages, which absolutely, I don't care where you're from, what you believe in. If you just, how could you be save our children with Epstein, right, and child prostitution, but also keep kids in cages and be cool with that,
Yeah.
right? So then she gets the fucking, she gets the book. She's the vice president, right? Many would argue she's the actual president, right? Just like Bush and Cheney. Cheney is
Yeah.
really the fucking president, right? The other one is the figurehead. So when she's asked about the border as this vice president, where she has the power, she flubs up and is like, I have been to the border, but I haven't. And I haven't seen the thing, but I have seen the thing. She couldn't she couldn't even fucking get that. The latest thing, right? The View, the TV show with the four women talking heads or whatever, she was
Right.
supposed to be on it. Did you see it?
No.
So supposedly in the middle, right before she comes out, the vice president comes out, two of the hosts have positive tests, COVID tests, right? So she doesn't get to come out, right? And it's just the two. They didn't tell the two what the fuck was going on, right?
Yeah.
The two that are still here, and then in the back, you've got the fucking, the two supposedly infected co-hosts, right? Well, here's the thing. They take COVID tests way in advance, right? It's supposed to be 48 to 72 hours
Yeah.
before, right? That's the protocol. So you mean they didn't get a fucking TV show with millions of dollars of advertising,
Right.
didn't have any recourse to get the shit before they went on air, and also still had the fucking vice president en route,
Jeez.
right? And then she does the thing from another room where there's
Yeah.
no audience participation, right? Because fucking George W. right did a fucking gala in Beverly Hills and shit like that, and a fucking former Marine gets up and is like, "You got blood on your hands. What the fuck?" You're like,
Yeah.
right? So Vice President Harris is in a fucking room where she can't be asked questions in between takes by the audience.
Oh.
And then it's found out that those two hosts, false positives.
Uh-oh.
Fishy? Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd say.
So that's the thing. And, these, the perpetuated things, right? Like, when you've got people that will rather believe the like,
Right.
the lies rather than whatever, because it fits a narrative. And again, both sides are guilty of it. All politicians are guilty of it. I'll do this, I'll do that. Once they get there, they could give a fuck
Oh,
about you.
forget that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And telling us, oh, we don't understand what it's like.
Well, you're talking to the people who put you in there. They're the people that know what it's like. That's
Yeah.
why they put you in there in the first place.
Right, but once you're in there, somebody comes to
Oh,
the
I'm
check-in.
here now. I don't need to care about you anymore.
No, I think it's the same thing that happens with boxing. When you
Yeah.
have a shit decision in boxing, you don't even have to fucking figure it out. Somebody in the fucking locker room got an envelope. One of them fucking judges got a fucking envelope. That envelope was probably full of cash.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same thing. It's just
Full of
like,
something.
yeah, right. Low, could be, So it's just weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, as crazy as Alex Jones is, was he right about Epstein? Was he right about fucking Bohemian Grove? Absolutely. Right?
I have to give him that. Yes.
My mom worked for city government in Inglewood, right?
Yeah.
And one of the first like police brutality things post, Rodney King happened in Inglewood. Donovan
Right.
Jackson, mentally, not mentally ill, but definitely mentally disadvantaged youth. He was basically filling gas at a gas station, and he got beat by the cops. Wrongful identity, right?
Yep.
So they put a suit to the city, a suit to the LAPD. I mean the Inglewood PD, right? And I don't know what happens, but it was actually filmed. by a guy who is, in a hotel and had perfect
Right.
vantage view, right? Well, guess what happens? That guy gets a smear campaign. The videographer gets a smear campaign because he was doing fucking black star heroin and fucking hookers in that room. It was a no-tell motel, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. Everybody came. The Jesse Jacksons, the Reverend Al Sharptons, the
Yeah.
Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. They're all horrible people when the fucking cameras are off. They're just as much diva as any fucking, you know, movie star that you've heard horrible stories of.
Yeah.
Just saying.
They're supposed to be there to help their fellow man, and it's like, okay, I'm in here now. I don't have to help anybody. I help me
Yeah.
get in here. See you later.
Or the conservative folk that are like against like the abortions and Planned Parenthood and whatever, save the children. We'll take care of your children, whatever. But what happens if the child is incarcerated because the mom is working three jobs and whatever, and the
Yeah.
kid doesn't want the fucking kid, the mom to work as hard, starts selling dope, starts prostituting themselves, whatever, and then gets locked up. And then locked up for the very thing is now legal.
Yeah.
But
You
I
know,
don't
I,
know.
I don't see it. Like we're all supposed to, if we're given a chance, we're all supposed to help a fellow. That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah,
Try to
yeah.
help your fellow man. Um, I was doing that this summer, but when and with homeless people and people walking by, I was handing out free water, on a hot day,
Yeah.
right, once a week, and some of the people that we worked with were homeless, and all of a sudden there's like 50 cases of COVID, so we can't do that no more,
Right, exactly.
right? Because we got to think about ourselves too, and
Of course.
the rest of the people that we associate with, like our families and stuff. Um, Basically, it was taken away through no fault our own, but the fault of the people who didn't get you
Yeah.
know what they were
Oh,
supposed to get.
so here's the deal. Here in the States.
Right,
So all the money that the government allotted for the CARES Act and the COVID relief bill and all that shit.
and that keyword being shit.
Yeah.
Because my wife got something like that up here in Canada. She had to pay back $700.
Okay. So do you know what the percentage? So if you go big corporations, right, on
Right.
one hand, and the people, what would you say? Who got what percentage? Just give me a number.
Oh, I can't because I'm not familiar with that down
Okay.
there.
No,
Um,
this
it's probably not
anything.
a whole. It's not a
It's
whole lot.
so 83% went to the Coca Colas, the GMs, the Toyotas,
Yeah,
the Microsofts, the
gotcha.
Teslas, and the rest went to the people. It's just like if you go to, you know, unless you know the charity, all these big charities, the fucking Susan G. Komen, Wounded Warrior
Yeah,
Projects, all that, whatever.
Connor's Cure.
Right. Connor's Cure, right?
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
25% goes to
To
the actual.
administration fees.
No, 75 goes to administration fees. Only
Whoa.
20, only 25% goes to the actual people. Like, fuck it, the Wounded Warrior Project, right? That are supposed to help and rehab veterans of the war, right?
And you help them get jobs in that too, right?
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
They were having parties where they flew the entire fucking staff, 1,000 people and their spouses and their kids to Aspen. They were flying out camels for their Christmas party because they wanted to reenact the fucking nativity scene, but on fucking speed because you got techno music blaring, everybody's doing whatever the fuck, you know? Again, that had to be run about $10 million price tag at the very least. Well, vets can't get jobs.
Yeah.
They're missing limbs. The fact that
Yeah.
here in the States, 21 is the legal drinking age, right?
Right.
I forgot what it might have been Chris Rock that was like, What the fuck? You come back and lose your leg, right? You're 18 years old and you can't get a drink. Like you got a stub, and you can't get a drink. That
Yeah.
stub was for your fucking country. Your life, your you know, neurological, your everything, mental health. It's totally fucked, and you can't buy a drink legally. Or if you're a person of color,
Right.
you couldn't go to a particular bar or hotel or what have you.
That's kind of like I don't like this double standard bullshit.
Yeah, but
But
that's
it's there, and it's something I have to deal with. But that doesn't mean I like it.
right, and that's the thing. But you know, being aware, I think that that helps, right?
Right.
You know, like people say like white privilege, right? And that's a very tricky deal because guess what? You know,
I don't like that word.
I don't either because guess what? We have the Appalachian Mountains that
Right.
run like 4 or 5 fucking states up, right?
Yeah.
And the people there that live there are just as fucked as the people in Watts and Compton,
Yeah.
right? And
Like
so that's you know,
the
but
more they try to say we're different, the more things are the same.
yeah, but then there are instances where like anytime there's a cop around me,
Right.
I get scared because there's like just give you a personal experience, right? So
Right.
my dad, I mean, I got one of his tapes. He was a musician, right?
Right.
Former Vietnam vet, but he was stationed in Korea during Vietnam because he wanted to be a military policeman. He was like, if I'm going to be in here anyway, let me get some honor on it. And he was, they were drilling guns one day, and this 16-year-old, kind of similar to the 45th president and Vince McMahon, this
Uh,
16-year-old Anglo second lieutenant who was in military.
16-year-old.
Yes, because he was a rich kid, much like Donald Trump, much like fucking Vince McMahon, right? Vince McMahon wasn't rich. He grew up in a trailer park, but he definitely went to military school, right?
Yeah.
Somehow, some way. So this 16-year-old, well, now he's 16 at the time of Vietnam, but he was so rowdy that his affluent family didn't want anything to do with him, so sent him off to military school. So at the time he gets to be 16, he's pretty high up on the fucking totem pole, right? He calls my dad the N word. My
Uh
dad
oh.
has a rifle in his hand and grew up in South Bend, Indiana, where a lot of people think that KKK took I mean, like started in the South. Yeah, yes, it did take a hold in the South, Civil War, but Notre Dame University, which is right in South Bend, Indiana, was where the KKK was formed,
Yeah.
right?
And a lot of people don't really
Don't
think about
realize
that.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So my dad shot this 16-year-old. He got court-martialed, right? But because of all the draft dodging, obviously you being Canadian, you know, there was an
Yeah.
influx of, GIs or soon to be GIs that went up that way, right? Well, they kept him in. They kept him in there, and he was reduced to bread baker, but also medic that would, take the severed heads off, and for recognition and shit like that, right? So so when my dad ends up in San Francisco, he is as law abiding as you can be, right?
Yeah.
One day, he was coming home from, I think, the Guitar Center, right? Coming back home from the Guitar Center, he gets stopped. 30 fucking San Rafael PD, and this is like right by Skywalker Ranch, where he
Oh.
gets stopped, right? Northern California. So I think it was like 12 or so San Rafael PD, and then the rest of them were California Highway Patrol, guns drawn, because there was a bank robbery, and the suspect was a African American gentleman, anywhere from 5'2" to 6'7",
Okay.
anywhere from 185 to 250. That's a pretty broad range, isn't it?
Yeah.
Driving a sports car. My dad was driving a van conversion. My dad was 6'4", 240. He fit the bill, at least to them. They held him. They had guns drawn to the extent where my dad pissed himself right on a fucking major California highway.
That's not cool, man. You don't make a man do that.
Right. So, my mom thought he was cheating because we didn't hear from him. This is early 90s. There's no cell phones of
Yeah.
that length, right? He comes at 2 in the morning and he's crying with pissed on a deal, right? And we, funny enough, we heard about the suspect apprehended. They didn't have a description or whatever other than
Yeah.
that wide range, right? Didn't know it was my dad that they fucking took. Okay? He was they and it turns out they found the actual dude that robbed the bank 2 hours before they apprehended my dad.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is I remember going to the Marin County Fair, right? Marin
Right.
County, pretty affluent. Journey lived there. Metallica's HQ used to be there, what
Okay.
have you. And I actually saw Clarence Clemens. He knew my dad and introduced me to Clarence Clemens from the E Street Band, whatever. And then we get to this tent with the California Highway Patrol and McGruff, the crime dog, to teach you not to be on drugs. My dad is starting to shake, like uncontrollably.
Yeah.
And one of the officers comes up to my dad. He was one that day. My dad is frightened, and I was holding my dad's hand. I'm feeling this. I'm like, what the fuck? And my dad's huge. Like, what can shake him to his very core? Well, one of those officers were there that day and personally apologized to my dad.
Oh.
Made sure that I had every McGruff fucking crime dog, stuffed animal, candy, whatever they were given, whatever tropes or whatever. And they all went up to my dad and said, I'm sorry. Because they were all the 8 people that were manning the tent were all there
Mhm.
that day and held a gun. But my dad was never the same.
Yeah.
So I grew up with a mistrust of law enforcement.
Right.
But I also made sure that I didn't do drugs. I didn't do any of the stuff that would warrant it for them to come my way. But
We got you.
that doesn't matter, you know. A lot of people here want to quote the Second Amendment, right? Want to quote the Second Amendment and right to bear arms. I'm never going to be a patriot. If I grabbed a gun, it's not worth it. My life could be over.
Yeah. Same with mine.
Yeah. So that's and that's the thing. It's just like, you know. So
You
it's
know who's
just,
really outspoken about this gun stuff and this and that? Ted Nugent, man.
yeah. And
I
but
love Ted Nugent, man. I like, and you know what? The guy's never drank, and he's never done any drugs in his life.
yeah, but he's fuck kids, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
I guess.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the other thing. Everybody like, oh, save the children, which absolutely that's so fucked up. Like the Epstein shit is whatever. But also, ask your grandma how old she was when she was married and how old her husband was.
Yeah.
Okay, you know where was
My
where?
mom was 15 years younger than my dad.
Yeah. So again, that's why I'm talking about like history and heritage and
Yeah.
whatever. It's what people choose to believe versus what actually happened. You know, there's 3 sides. That's why I call myself an
Yeah, the
interviewer.
3 sides to every story: your side, my side, and the right side.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's why I call myself an interviewer and podcaster, not so
Right.
much a journalist or a media person. I'm not
Right.
trying to get sound bites out of people. I'm not going to be like, "Ha ha,
Oh
I got
no.
you." And
Neither am I. I just do my thing, you know. At Russell Buddy, that's how we do. we talk to pro wrestlers. We interview pro wrestlers. We do recaps. We're trying to be different instead of like doing a weekly recap. Pick up the best moments out of a show
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You know, trying to be as different as we can because different is where it's at, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with music. It's the same thing with anything, and it's the same thing with attitude. But the thing is, I think me helping people, it has hurt me. I mean, I've helped people. They still part of my drum kit. They still, you know, basically took away some of my means to make money.
Wow.
You know, because I helped this person out. This person knows where my gear is, but refuses to give it to me. He's now inside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I find it hard to not hold any ill will.
Right.
It's really hard for me to try, like I try to, you know, forgive and forget, but it, you know, sometimes it gets hard.
It does. Absolutely.
And you know, when they take away your means of making a living, you know, that kind of
Yeah. 100%.
and I went through all that, and then I still help people, and you know, but it's not the same.
It isn't. Yeah. You know, some of that stuff, it does weigh on you, right? Because
Yeah,
what do they say? You can forgive and not
you can
forget.
forgive and forget, but the forgetting part is the hardest.
Right. You know, like imagine being a gal, right?
Yeah.
And you vote a certain way, right? Actually, this might have happened to some family that I have,
All
right?
right.
Where there might have been hard in the paint Trump supporters, and that also might have been immigrants
Mm.
in their heritage, not them
Right.
now, them
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
into the state, but in
Yeah. Yeah.
right,
I know what you mean.
right.
And that must have been hard for them too
Well,
to deal with that.
well, when he started saying about like you know, Mexico and the fucking all criminals,
The
all
wall and this.
well,
What
no,
the?
but he literally said on the campaign trail that I thought was his death knell. He's like, you know, they're all rapists and drug abusers and gangsters. Some are good people, and to see them fucking doing 180 and like, oh my god, it's an epiphany. Like that side wasn't for me in the first place. Like I remember being at a church, a
Right.
fairly conservative part of town, right? One where my mother-in-law went,
Right.
right? And then it was just like great, like cool. And then Kaepernick started kneeling, right? And then I saw people's true colors. And then I look around. I'm the only dark one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was out. I was so out, man. Because yeah, I'm not racist. I know Adam.
Yeah. I try not to be racist, but you know the people of the in situations as well kind of make it hard for me not to be because of what they've done.
Well, I would say, like you said,
I mean, to me personally, I mean, I'm not saying to humankind, but to me personally, different races have hurt me. I don't have any problem with anybody. I dated a Jewish girl. I mean, you know, I didn't care. You know, she thought enough of me to like me and want to go out with me. I'm cool with that.
yeah.
But I just find there's a lot of double standards when it comes to people of my class, where I'm lower class and stuff like. I find there's like a double standard, and it's like poo poo doo doo. You know, it all rolls downhill, right?
Right, right. And it's funny that you say that because if you notice, every South
Right.
is never good. And every South kind of thumbs their nose. Antarctica is probably going like, oh, you fucking Canadians. Canadians like, oh, you fucking crazy Yanks. Us like,
Yeah.
oh, you fucking crazy Mexicans. And
I
then,
just want to see a day where it's never going to be like that, and it never will be like that. But at one point, I used to think it used to be like that.
yeah,
That you know everybody gets along. You know, and it's funny because I find the only time that people really get along and I'm going to use 911 as an example, and I hate to bring that up, and I know it's a sore point for a lot of people, but that was when you really found out what America was all about.
In terms of,
Okay. In terms of helping others and stuff like that,
yeah, yeah,
right? Uh, uh, I've, I had a chance to, I had a bigger place at the time. I had a chance to house people from that couldn't make their flights and all this stuff, and they had to stop the flights. And, I mean, I know stories of people who got air miles from the people that stayed with them from America to make it to their wedding because they helped them out, right?
right,
Um, it's just too bad that it has to take something of that magnitude to make
right.
people care.
Yes, no, and you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, we're not there anymore. We don't have a united front, right?
No,
You know, there's a 24-hour news cycle, and
and
it's and it's skewed one way or the other, right?
and this
And
other thing too, I don't understand. Black Lives Matter. I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to understand it, but shouldn't it be all lives matter?
uh, okay, so again, why I would fear police and you not? I think that's where it came from. What I don't
Right.
understand is where it became like a rally cry to
Yeah,
like wait.
and it ends up
Here's the thing,
they end up burning
but
their own communities.
no, no, no. But you can't do they. You can't do they because I grew
No,
up
but
in
they
a
do. That's what
no
happened.
because I've never done it, and I grew up in
Well, I'm
those
not saying
communities.
you've done it. I'm just
No,
saying.
but I'm in the they. That's that's where you get kind of twisted in that kind of belief system because I'm
Right.
the they. And I was also accosted by my own people because I don't look, sound, or act like them. I might look like
And
them,
I don't believe in that, man. Like I'm
but
trying to
that
get into the
no,
under. I want to get
but
the proper view
well,
of BLM.
but there's no, but there is no proper view, right?
Right.
Because this is just my take on it, right?
Right.
So I get the rally cry that Black Lives
Yeah.
Matter because when did it matter when we were hanging from trees and
Apparently
people
not, and that kind of pisses me
right?
off.
Or did it matter that Black Friday is because you can get a whole family a slave for the price of one?
That's just. I don't understand why they have to put humanity into these sales and stuff.
Exactly.
It bothers me.
Right, exactly. Or like
It's the
me,
almighty dollar. It boils down to the at the end of the
and
day, it all boils down to the almighty dollar. That's
it
it.
always has been, right? And before it was the
Yeah.
almighty dollar, it was the almighty gold, it was the almighty whatever transaction that made you a high status. That's
Right.
whatever it was. A harem of women, a harem of both sex. If you go to ancient Greece, right, they were pretty
Yeah.
gender fluid or whatever, but they didn't have to identify. They just fucked everything. Caesar just fucked everything and got fucked by everything, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. But what I don't understand about Black Lives Matter is where it stopped being a rallying cry, right after so many people of black or African or I choose to identify African descendant of slave because black
Yeah.
is a color. It's not a race. You can't find
Yeah.
black on a map, right? Uh, but with that being said, I don't know where it became an organization where if somebody said something stupid, that now that organization is taking in funds because that fund is not going to me. That
Yeah.
fund is probably not going to
It's not
whatever.
going
And
to help people like George Floyd's
George
families or the
George
other families.
Floyd, Tamir Rice, like
Yeah.
I get
What about that
leery.
postal worker? The name is that the name of that postal worker that got
I'm not sure.
beat up
There's been
and
so many.
killed?
Oh, the yes, the kid with the mental disabilities. He was a postal worker in like Memphis or some shit.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. Like even with my kid, right? Like
Yeah.
my 14-year-old, I try to make sure like there's not any pictures of him playing guns or
Right.
anything like that because Tamir Rice was 12 years old, 12 to 14 years old. I can't remember, but had a water gun, and they shot him dead in a park, right? And
Yeah.
again, I even like I was telling you, I did it. I just did it. That could
Yeah.
be like all bad cops. I know people like Mike Beltran and Big John McCarthy, the referees.
Yeah.
They're
Big
great.
John.
Mike Beltran is still a fucking sheriff. You know?
Isn't wasn't Big John involved with law enforcement at some
Yeah.
point?
No, he's second,
He
second or
changed.
third.
No, he trains the forces. That's
Yeah,
what he does. He trains them.
he's second or third generation
Yeah.
LAPD.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the thing. Like, every time I've been around both of them, they've
Right.
always treated me great. So I can't go all cops because they're cops,
Yeah.
right? Now, are we gonna agree on everything? Probably not,
No.
right? I mean, there's a
But
whole thing,
we should agree to get along, is what I'm saying.
right? Exactly, and be able to respectfully disagree. For
Yeah.
some reason, we lost that with all of our devices, all the internet, or whatever. The need to respectfully disagree, right?
Right.
And be good, and we could still eat, drink, whatever the
Be
fuck.
married together
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
absolutely,
You know. Yeah. Hang
and
out.
really
Yeah.
cheer each other on. You know, that's the other thing that doesn't happen, is we don't
Yeah.
cheer each other on. It does. Like I felt it, just my own personal whatever,
Right.
because I'll tell you a story. You know how the Nation of Islam, right, they
Right.
have the dressed in nice suits and everything. They have their paper, the final call, and the selling bean pies, right?
Right.
Well, I went to Crenshaw District right before pandemic with my wife, who's clearly not black, but she's a multitude of different things. She's
Right.
got Filipino, Puerto Rican, Tejano, the native people of Texas. Like, there's so much in her, but
Right.
definitely not black. I have always, especially with my dad, been of that, you know, power to the people, what have you, right? They didn't even come up to my car to sell me one of the papers or a bean pie. My wife was like, "Oh my God, an actual Nation of Islam! Like it's some of the best, bean pie,
Yeah.
sweet potato pie, and pecan pie in the
Yeah.
world, right? I actually get to, honey, let's get one." They didn't even come to my car because of her race, and I watched.
Wow.
They didn't do it to the Latinos. They didn't do it to the Anglos. They didn't do it to the Asians that were all stopped at the light. You know, I've had it
Right.
happen, right? And I can only speak to it. But then I've also, much like my dad, been kind of riding with my cousin,
Yeah.
guns drawn. You know, I didn't piss myself, but it
Yeah.
was one of the scariest moments in my fucking life. And there were 15 fucking squad cars because he had a nice car.
Yeah.
You know, driving while black. Hell, Niecy Nash was on that show Reno 911 where she
Okay.
fucking played a cop. Right around the holidays last year,
Right.
her son gets pulled over, guns drawn. She had just bought him a Mercedes or one of those luxury cars.
Okay.
Who does this belong to? Well, it's mine, officer. What says it belongs to, it's registered to Denise Nash, which it can be an
Yeah. Yeah.
right
Yeah.
Anglo-sounding name, right? It was like, well, my mom is Niecy Nash. Have you guys seen Reno 911? It's like, yeah, we love that show, but that's not your mom. They're telling the kid that's not your mom,
That's bullshit.
right? And again, we know her as Niecy Nash, not Denise Nash,
Yeah.
right? Well, once they kind of whatever, I don't know what happened, but she basically posted on Twitter like, "What the fuck?" Like we live in an affluent area. We live in the gated community. I'm a
Yeah.
law-abiding citizen. I'm a celebrity. I got off of welfare. All of the fucking shit that the je ne sais quoi that most people have.
Yeah.
And her kid gets pulled over for a fucking thing that she did for him with the money that she made. Right?
That's not right.
Right. So, but I think the more that we have these conversations, and like I said, you know, in terms of being a CEO of a corporation, right?
Right.
So kids in Compton and Watts are just as fuck as the people that live in the Appalachian Mountains
Right.
that are Anglo. The Kentucky, miners that have iron lung because of all this shit.
Yep.
But every politician was like, you're our people. We're you. Well, when have you ever been in a fucking mine, folks?
Yeah.
You know? So,
Yeah.
but I think the more that we have and those conversations, they're difficult, right?
Yeah.
And again, slavery. You can't speak to slavery. You weren't there.
No.
I can't speak to it. I wasn't there. I know the history. Hell, my
That's
last
all
name
I
is
know. I know there's some bad stuff, but there was
yeah,
also good stuff that's not reported either.
exactly. And that's the thing. For us to be able to talk about these things that
Yeah.
again are kind of social taboos that are against the grain, right? And that's why, this podcasting kind of medium, we don't have to worry about regulations from the government,
Nope.
right? We could say fuck, shit, whatever, and
Yeah.
and do it,
Exactly.
right? And be fine with it and respect each other. And like I've had people far in the paint, right wing. I've had
Right.
people far in the paint, left wing. I want to hear what they want to say. I'm not going to ostracize them. To me, this podcast, The Steel, is my house,
There you go.
right? Why would I fucking invite you over just to shit on your plate?
There you go.
But I don't think, I don't think people think that way, and that's why I like Joe Rogan is a hero of mine because he does the same. Invites anybody. Now, are they going to disagree? Is he going to call them out on some of the bullshit? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
but also, he's not get the fuck out of my studio. I never want to talk to you again.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, that's how I feel. But speaking of feel, you have made tremendous strides in pro wrestling, uh, your pro wrestling patronage with the
Right.
Wrestle Buddy podcast. So, for those who don't know, how did you get hooked up with those guys, and where can people find it?
Well, actually, they got a hold of me.
Really? That's
Yeah.
awesome. Who wouldn't? I would do a podcast with you any fucking day.
They got a hold of me. And it's funny. It didn't start off as a podcast. This is the guy from India. We followed each other on Twitter, and he said, "Listen, one of the day, I got this message about. Anyway, it said I'm starting a team. He said, like you to be part of it. He said, I've asked everybody else. I might as well ask you too. I was kind of like an afterthought kind of thing. But I said, listen, I'm 60 years old. I haven't got a lot of time left. But yeah, and he says, well, you're the one we want to learn from because I heard, through the grapevine, you have done this stuff in the past. Well, yeah, okay, whatever. So I've been there since day one.
Wow.
And we don't just cover. Oh, I mean, we cover wrestling, yes, but that's not the only thing we do. We also interview pro wrestlers too. And
Really?
oh yeah, from the indies all the way up. Like we've had Carlito on our show. We've had James Ellsworth on our show.
Really?
We've had Crowbar on our show.
Wow. Yeah, Devin's great. Devin's fucking great. He's one of those guys where in the wrestling industry,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that have bad reps in the business.
Yeah.
He's not. He's not that guy.
And he also, he still wrestles, but he owns his own company, physiotherapy, man. He was taking a lot of ribbing from both sides, from the people in college and from the wrestlers. He's getting it from both sides.
That's
And
fucking
through it all. Now, he owns his own company. He still does the gig once in a while. He's happy. He's happy with where he's at, man.
Mhm.
And that's cool. Kaya McKenna, and up and coming one on the indies. We've had her on our show. We've had Billy Starks on our show.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember. I know I'm forgetting somebody. there's a lot of interviews we have done. I did actually did I did the first interview with Danny Limelight. Our
Ooh,
first interview, I was on that, and it was Danny Limelight.
wow. He actually, I have an intro, an alternative intro, with him actually telling people to like, share, and
Yeah,
subscribe to the
yeah.
podcast, which is cool.
And a lot of people don't realize he's very multi-talented, man. He writes scripts, he
Yeah,
directs, he acts. His
his daughter
daughter is in
too.
the
Yep.
entertainment stuff too. There, she does commercials and stuff, and so does he. Actually, they did some work together.
Yes.
Um, like at the end of the day, would I like to see $1? Yeah, sure. Why not? But you know what? I'm putting in the time now,
Yeah.
so that when that starts coming in, I don't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah, and also,
I put in my time.
yeah, also, when you kind of remove that from the equation, I know for me, and it's probably not the
And
best
I'm
thing.
doing what I want. It's a blast.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes if I I hear it all the time, right? Or
Right.
see it all the time where people are like, "Oh, if I don't get this many subscribers, or if I don't get this, yes, or if I get a
Oh, I
big
don't
name
think about
guest."
that stuff. I just worry about if I'm good enough.
But it happens. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, if I'm not verified on Twitter, like, or
I'm not
Instagram."
verified on Twitter, and I got
Right,
almost 5,000 followers.
right. I
You
know
don't need
that's
to
way
be
more than,
verified
yeah,
on Twitter. You
exactly.
don't need to be verified on
Right,
Twitter.
but I mean, I hear that a lot. Oh, if
Yeah.
I'm not monetized on my channel by this whatever, then I'm not doing podcasting anymore. Well, then maybe
Oh,
you
I'm
should
not
stop.
quitting. I'm putting in the
No, 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 no,
time.
no. I'm
I'm
just
putting in the
no.
time.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm putting you over, pal. Damn it. Uh, no,
I'm
but
just putting it. All I'm saying is I'm putting in the time because it's going
right,
to happen eventually. I am
right,
going to see $1.
right. Absolutely, and maybe a little bit more, and maybe that dollar might be accompanied by another 1,000 friends and shit like that.
There you go.
So, but the thing about it is, for guys like you and me, right? It's you
It's
could
not the
have
money. The money. It shouldn't be about the money
it should be
at
the
our
freedom
point.
to say and what you like.
Whatever the hell we want.
Absolutely,
And you know what? If they don't like it, that's fine. At least they respect it.
exactly, exactly. Dave Meltzer, pro or con, whatever, but he's also the only person who is not the only person. I'm sure there's more people, but
Right.
that is universally hated by both Vince McMahon and Dana White. Right? So
Look at
that's
Dave LaGreca.
yeah, yeah, busted open.
Okay. Look at Fitzrosso.
Yeah. Well, Vince Russo kind of earns some of his shit, but anywho, I mean, like, that's
Yeah.
it. You know, like Bischoff, Bischoff can be controversial, but
I would love a chance to pick his brain.
okay.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm going to get it. I'm going to get him. I'm going to
I,
get him. I'm going to
I
get him
believe
on
it.
the show. You watch.
I
It
believe it.
might take me time, but I'm going to get him.
Hey, I think Amy Grant said it best. It takes a little time sometimes to take the Titanic back around. So
Yeah.
that's the thing, Some of my guests I've worked on, hell, the whole weekend's worth of guests that I
Yeah.
was thinking about, reaching out to, because
Right.
Facebook and Instagram are down. I can't get in contact with them at all.
Well, yeah. Well, see, I had Google Chrome on my phone since day one.
Yeah,
So when you said you got to have Chrome, I started laughing and saying,
yeah.
"No,
Oh, most people
I
don't.
already got it,
Yeah,
brother."
most people like it, because I'm an Android guy and I don't care one way or another. I just know
Yeah.
that, like, if you bought a
Well,
charger,
to me personally, I find that the phone gives a better picture and a better stable sound because I have got Chrome, right?
yeah,
Whereas, let's say a Mac laptop or something, I find it tends to darken.
yes, yes, 100%, 100%.
I'm
Oh my
using my
god,
phone right now. I am not on a laptop. I'm literally using a Samsung
and you sound
A70
great.
Galaxy.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm using.
and guess what? You sound as great as I do, and I've got the $400 Shure, and whatever
I don't
on the
need it.
blue.
Would I
Right?
like to have it? Sure. Would it
Yeah.
make me more credible? Probably not. But it doesn't stop the fact
Be,
that I would want one. You know
before,
what I mean?
yeah, but before I told you that, you didn't know one way or another, right?
No.
Right,
Well, I think
exactly.
you were using a mic, but I
Yeah,
mean, That's all I knew.
Yeah, and then the thing about it, the first 50 episodes were on
Right.
my Samsung Note 10 Plus because I didn't own a computer at the, you know, and but that's also the other thing, right? Like I knew I was
Yeah.
doing interviews. Some places wouldn't give me credentials, so I might
Right.
have to sneak in or pay a ticket, and then
Yeah.
have my phone, and then get that interview, and what have you.
Right.
Like,
See, that's what I'd like to do eventually. Is something like, at the end of the day, I like to be accredited.
yeah,
That's all
I,
I guess at the end of the day, that's all I'm looking for is like,
I,
okay,
I mean,
okay, this is TRC. Oh, that's him. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's.
so I don't know if you could
That's all
see
I
it.
wanted. Oh,
I got a whole bunch of figures, but there's a whole bunch of credentials on the far corner. Bunch of
yeah,
lanyards, right? On the other side, there's a bunch of lanyards. One is a LA Comic Con and
right.
whatever, right?
I
It's
at the end
not.
of the day, I know it's kind of silly because I don't care if I get money for it or not, but at the end of the day, I want my name out there, and they know who I am. That's
Uh,
it.
yeah, well, fuck, you got 9,000 followers on fucking Twitter. A lot of people know who you are versus who I am. You know?
I got 4,000, I think 900 and something on Twitter, or 4,100. Anyway, I got at least 4,000 on Twitter, and I'm not even
That's
credited,
yeah,
not even validated.
but that's that's the deal, and also the other thing about it is you find out your moods change, right?
Right.
Your goals change, right? Like,
Yeah,
and
because like I mean, I kind of look it right now, but if I had it saved up, you wouldn't know I was 60.
see,
Okay,
see,
you wouldn't have a clue. If I shave this all off right now and come back in about 10 minutes time, totally different.
but that's I mean that's you and your good fucking genes, man.
And I'm proud of that fact that I can blow people's mind like that. Like, I never seen you without your beard before. Fuck! I'd shit on your face.
Wow,
Yeah, I'm
wow,
happily married.
yeah, wow,
you
yeah.
know?
Those DMs get weird sometimes, a lot of
Yeah.
times.
No, this was said in a vid chat.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's rough.
My wife beside me, she's saying this shit. And I'm
Yeah,
going,
yeah, yeah. No,
So I
but
bring up the fact, as far as marriage goes, it'll be 30 years this November I've been married too. So proud of that too.
congratulations.
I'm proud of that too. Like
Yeah,
that's unheard of these days. You're lucky
that's
if you get 10.
hell. I'm half.
I
It's
mean, I'm
weird.
not trying to be so. I'm being sarcastic because
No,
I see
but
what goes
it's
on because my son hasn't been married even 2 years and already they're separated. Uh,
wow.
I look at
It
stuff like
happens.
that, so I pride myself on that.
No, 100%. I mean, as well. You gotta have your victories, right? Because
Yeah.
when you're when you're in the shitter, literally and figuratively, you need
Oh,
those
I'm
little.
I'm I'm there now, and you know what? I kind of have no complaints. Basically,
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
do I like would I like to help? Yeah. Am I going to ask for it? Scared to.
Uh, I don't know. Uh,
You know what I
it, it,
mean? Because
philosophically,
I'm too proud. Is what my problem is.
well, so philosophically, right? The weird one. My mom taught me and my sister to go. Um, don't don't say anything to anybody about your goals or your plans or whatever, because
Right.
chances are they could steal it, or at the very least, they'll make fun of you because it doesn't happen when you say it's gonna happen, right?
Right.
Sometimes,
Right.
but then now this new age deal of like speaking your existence into the universe and it'll fucking come true. So I'm all like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Do I stay silent? Do I fucking,
Yeah.
speak it? I don't know. It's all weird. But also that euphemism of closed mouths don't get fed, right? And most people won't know there's a need unless you say it because they're like, oh, you're on a fucking internationally fucking co-hosted podcast. He must be raking in the fucking dough.
That doesn't mean I'm making any money. It doesn't make me any better than anybody else.
Right, exactly.
That
And
makes me
that's
that makes me more vulnerable than if anything.
yeah, no, 100%. But it's that, and I think the support that we give each other, right?
Yeah, like
No, but
it is a great team. I mean,
yeah,
you couldn't ask for a better team. Seriously, man.
no,
Like
100%.
Alex, the guy who runs it, the team leader, love him to death. You got Griffin, K, nice young fella, UK. You got Andy, former paratrooper from the UK, knows his stuff.
Wow.
Simply Steve. You got Joker, Empty Space. There's a whole bunch of us, and the best part about it is we actually like each other.
That's yeah, because if you are the wrestle buddies, right, and you guys didn't get along, that might not work as
No,
well.
but we like each other. We tease each other. We joke around with each other. But we also there to support each other too if something's going on.
That's
And I
fucking
can attest to
brilliant.
that personally.
I mean, that's you can't, like you said, you can't get any better, So,
No,
for those who are uninitiated, where can they find the Wrestle Buddies podcast?
you can find it on YouTube. It's a red circle with a white W on it. Wrestle Buddy Podcast. You can also find us at WrestleBuddy.com. We do also write articles.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of articles that are written and stuff. You can check us out there. You can check us out on YouTube, like I said, at Wrestle Buddy Podcast. We do recaps. We do prediction shows. We interview pro wrestlers. We're all over the place. We got our fingers in a lot of pies.
Whoa, Georgie Porgy, what a good boy am I?
I wouldn't say I'm a good boy. I just like having fun.
That's fucking great. No, and I guess for those that want to get, they want
And if
some.
they want to follow me personally, you can find me at the RevCupid61 on Twitter.
There it is. There it is. Well, Rev, you are amazing. I guess we can break kayfabe because I put it in the description. Harold, you are a hashtag good brother. I rejoice in your success. But also, I mean, this is probably not the last time we're going to be fucking talking in
Oh,
this
hell
run.
no. Oh, hell no. No, no,
Yeah.
no. I can tell you right now, before we even go any further, this ain't going to be the last time. No, 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 no.
No. Yeah,
We're going to have lot. We're here to have fun. We're going to have
absolutely. Too
fun.
sweet, me, bro. Hell yes. Bang. Yes. Yes. Ah, I love it. Yes. And we love you guys for chiming in on the According to Woods podcast. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Don't forget Wrestle Buddy Podcast.
Yes,
I got
absolutely.
another shameless plug.
There you go, 100%. But if you don't, and Harold, you're subscribed to the According to Woods podcast, aren't you?
I am now. I don't think I was when I met you, but I am now.
Damn right. So be
Damn
like
right.
Harold and go ahead and subscribe
Hey,
to
listen,
Wrestle
man.
Buddy.
I just want to say, peace and love, pass it on. See you on the dark side of the moon, everybody. We love y'all.
Hell yes, love you. And if you don't believe
Keep
Harold,
rocking. And you know what? Don't end up like me. I gave up for a while, but you know what? I'm back.
he's back and better
I'll
than
tell you
ever.
something.
He's back.
There you go.
Right?
Don't give up on your dreams. I started chasing my dreams late in life, so don't end up like me. Chase your dreams, because once you get it, you got it.
You got it. You got it. In the words of Stephanie Tanner, you got it, dude. But if you don't believe me, you don't believe Harold, subscribing to not just the Wrestle Buddy podcast, but the According to Woods podcast.
According to Woods podcast, yes. We got to have you on our show, too.
Hell yes, anytime, good brother.
For sure, brother.
Hell yes. But
Yeah.
here's Zeta Zhang to help convince you.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe to According